Hello again everybody and welcome back to Test Flight Preview in the MiG-21 Fishbed. And this mission is going to be dedicated to air-to-ground deployment with rockets and guns. So let me go to the external view and show you what I have set up real quick. I have on my inboard wing stations S-24 aerial rockets. These are big rockets. I've never actually fired one of these before in DCS. So I'm interested to see what the effect is and exactly how those work. And then on the outboard stations I have normal rocket pods with 16 rockets each. And I have fired those before in a training module that's included with the DCS MiG-21, so I should have a good idea of how this is going to go, relatively speaking. But okay, we'll figure all this stuff out once we get into the air. So we come back in here and bring up the checklist and get things rolling. Okay, running through the abbreviated technique that I have right here. Very bad habits that I'm picking up going through it like this, but okay, battery, DC gen, we go flight recorder, radio on, we go fuel pumps, and APU, fire extinguisher, throttle, verified, normal start, and let's engage the starter. Okay, and I'll just wait for stuff to come up. My lights came on for some reason. That's never happened before. The console lights. I might have just clicked this button by mistake as I was scrolling by. Okay, so got the engine spooling up, and I'll wait to get the rest of the systems up and running until I actually get my engine up and the DC generator online. And because right now I'm just running completely off the battery. And I've got two out there also starting up. Is just going to follow me around with the same loadout. I might send them in on some targets if I remember to do it. Okay, so coming up, looking for about 30 degrees on number 1, about 50-ish on number 2. Okay, so that's looking good. I would call that a good start. Okay, so let me go and get my AC gen on. Not sure if that's an actual generator or if that's just an inverter that runs off the DC generator. I'll figure that kind of detail out in phase 2. I am curious though just how the electrical system is set up on this aircraft. I haven't really looked that deeply into it. This is like all I've done since I've got the aircraft. Okay, let me get these systems up and running. Okay, and I can go ahead and get some armament switches. So let me think about what I need for this one. Okay, IR, SAR, heat. Don't think I really need that, but well, I'm just going to turn all the armament switches on. Figure out exactly what I do and do not need later on. Okay, I want a channel 16 for Sanaki Kolki. And down here, I'll get my radar into the standby warm-up position. And that's about all I'm going to do here. I'm just going to get this thing into the air and head out to the range. So, canopy close and lock. Okay, canopy pressurized, or yep, cockpit pressurized, or at least the canopy seal is inflated. Okay, and I believe that's about all I'm going to do. I'm going to get my flaps in the takeoff position. I've got to remember my nose wheel brake. I forgot that on the last, I think, 2 takeoffs to leave it disengaged on the taxi, but to engage the nose wheel brake, this little handle right here on the takeoff roll. And like I said, this is not a it's not a tutorial. I'm going to get to that later. This is just quick and dirty preview to show you, just in case this does come out before the aircraft is released, so you have some idea of what all is available and what all is going on here. Okay, so let me do this. Let me go ahead and push the throttles up. Brake check. I totally blew off checking the pressure, but yeah, I just want to get airborne and get through some weapons employment so I can get to the real test flight series. Okay, coming around. And okay, let me see if I can make this turn sharp enough. Nah, I'm going to need differential braking here. Okay, center. Okay, and I just want to line it up. Just let it roll forward, just to align the nose wheel. And now hold the brakes as I do the rest of the checks. Okay, so there we go. Nose wheel brake is enabled. And let me see, what else do I want to do here? I don't have any recollection of aligning my navigation instrument. Oh well. It might have self-aligned on the taxi. I don't know how that works exactly, other than I know that I do that during the Oh, you know what? That's not doing anything because I never enabled my gyros for that type of instrument to work in the first place. Okay, so gyros on. Now I can do the alignment and calibration. Okay, good thing I did catch that. Okay, 2's in position. Okay, take off. And I want to be careful on this one to not... let me see, what is going to happen here? I have more drag and more weight on the aircraft, so the takeoff is going to be delayed slightly. I want to do this in full afterburner just so that I accelerate quickly enough that I can get off before the end of the runway. So, okay, brakes are held. I'm going to run it up, full throttle, checking instruments. I'll get to that detail later. Okay, release brakes, and I'm just going to maintain track. Okay, there we go, full afterburner. I'm going to rotate, same procedure really, about 250 to 300 kph, rotate, hold it off at about 10 degrees, right there. Just want to bring the nose up, just so the probe is about aligned with the horizon. And just let her, don't want to over-rotate, just let her fly off the runway. Okay, got it, airborne, and let me get a little bit more, oh wow, that's a lot of drag on the aircraft. Okay, gear up. Okay, good enough. Let's see here. And let's see, what airspeed am I at? 500, I can go flaps up. Boy, I was a little bit worried there with so much drag and additional weight on the aircraft. I did not think I was going to make it before the end of the runway. It did finally fly itself off, but yeah, this is going to handle a lot differently than it has in the last few missions. I know that I'm limited to 5 Gs, otherwise I run the risk of the stores physically separating from the aircraft. That's awesome that that's actually modeled in here. And I know that it's going to handle extremely differently from the way that it's handled before, so I just need to be very careful as I fly it, not to jerk the stick around, and not to really I just need to fly it smoothly and fly it smartly, which is good advice at any time, but especially so now. Okay, so let me go ahead and get my armament switches set up for this rocket's release. Now, I've done the UV-16 or UV-32, whatever type of pods those are, out on the wing station in the training module. But, okay, I need to be in the ground position. This switch doesn't matter, so that's good and good. Now, this selector, I'm going to do my S-24s first. So I'm just going to have it set up to S-24 1 and 2. I think what would happen here is whenever you see like 1-2 or like here 1-4 or 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to salvo. So in other words, I'm going to have to fire both S-24s at the same time here if I'm reading this correctly, which actually wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to fire one at a time, but I don't think I'm going to have any choice unless I'm just completely missing something here. Well, anyway, okay, so the gun sight's set up, and let me go ahead and get my reticule and the backup indicator up and running. Okay, so there's the reticule. Let me go ahead and set that to about 10 feet or 10 meters on the target size, just so that I have a good clear view of the center pipper in the reticule. Okay, let me trim out for a climb here and keep it going up, and push the throttle up just a touch as well to keep my airspeed up on the climb. Okay, so coming up on the target area out here to the left. Okay, so I want this switch in the launcher position. Later on in the mission, I'll put it to the guns position to fire the guns, but I'm almost positive, I'm starting to brain dump here, but I'm almost positive for rockets that stays in the launcher position. Well, I'll find out if that's the case or not. I want this to stay in the S position up, and I want this in the auto position, and I want this switch for the rockets in either the gyro or the non-gyro position. I'll have it down in the free gyro position. I honestly can't remember what I'm supposed to do there, but it's going to work in either case. It'll just work a little bit differently. Okay, so that is, I believe, the overall setup. Something interesting, it's weird how you just kind of notice things. Has this device always been here? I have no recollection of ever seeing this before. I'll assume that it's always been there, I've just never noticed it, but yeah, that does obscure the gun sight quite a bit when maybe I just never noticed it before. Okay, so at this point, now what I want to do with the radar is I want the radar on, and I didn't do the self-test on the radar, but that's okay. I want the radar into the narrow fixed beam position. So the radar is just going to fire out directly in front of the aircraft in a narrow beam, and it's going to give me ranging information to the ground as I come in. Now I can determine slant range to the ground by using this bottom scale, the 0.4 to 2.5, and that's in kilometer scale. So I want to fire the rockets really at the outer range of that, just kind of at the 2 kilometer slant range. And I'll get a red light that illuminates up here that's going to tell me that I'm just too close and I need to pull out. And with rockets, I'm going to want to do this from a moderate dive angle. I'll go for anywhere from 28 to 30 degrees. And I've got to remember that the pull out on this, I'm limited to 5 Gs, and that I'm just not going to be able to maneuver like I'm used to. So this will take a little bit of getting used to. I think this is the right setup. Let me just roll in on this target and see if I can put S24 or maybe 2 in there. Okay, 600 knots, or 600 kph, which is just fine. And yeah, you can tell it's just a little bit sluggish. The nose kind of wanders a little bit. It's just kind of takes a while for the aircraft to damp out, or aircraft movements to damp out once you release the stick. Okay, so pulling the throttle in slightly, rotating, rolling in on the target. I'm just going to set the reticule up, and standard technique that I always use, really, just set the reticule up just short of the target and let it walk on up. Now I'm looking for slant range, and I should get that indication down here on this bottom scale, and bring the nose up just a touch. And I should be getting there any time now, standing by to fire. I'm just going to take the shot right here. Okay, that was perfect on the slant range. Okay, throttle's up. Pull out. Let's see how this did. Okay, a little long, but yeah, that was apparently how you did it. I was afraid I didn't have something set up correctly there. And chances are something here is not set up 100% correctly, but okay, for my purposes, or our purposes right here, just to see what the aircraft is capable of, that's good enough. Now, the other types of rocket pods that I have on the outboard wing stations. And let me just confirm, did I or did I not fire off both? Yeah, both rockets did come off that time. Okay, so now I'm just down to the outboard pods. Now, this switch position has 3 possible positions. I have, the ones that I'm worried about are the 4, the 8, and the 16. That's going to tell me how many rockets come off on each burst. So if I leave it in the 4 position, I have 16 rockets total, so I'll have 4 passes that I can make with rockets on this mission. So let me come around one more time. I'll push up the throttle, see if I can come up and set myself up to come in from a good dive angle. I might try like a little pop-up attack and see what kind of tactics or not necessarily tactics, but you know, what other techniques that I can use here. But for now, I'm just going to climb up. I'll hit that same target just to see. Yeah, just to see how accurate this can be. Okay, so rolling in. And should be the exact same technique as before. Okay, I'm at 650, that's fine for airspeed. Okay, I'm just going to roll out, place the reticule just short of the target, and let it walk on up. Giving myself on this first attempt plenty of time on the rollout. I'll eventually get to the point where I can roll out and track for maybe 2 or 3 seconds and fire. Hopefully, that's the plan at least. Okay, so I should be getting into a good slant range any time now. You're right there. And apparently I missed something here. Okay, what did I miss? What could I possibly miss here? Boy, it's sluggish on the pullout. Boy, anything higher dive angles are going to be a little bit hairy. I can tell. Okay, what could I possibly miss? I don't get it. Okay, 1-4. Maybe there is significance to the 1-4 here, and I need to be in this position. 3-4, since they're on the outboard stations. I thought I had the system down for what the significance of the numbers were on this dial. I'm not so sure now. it should be the identical setup. So let me just roll in one more time with the switch in that position and see what happens. Okay, airspeed 700, that's just fine. I'll roll in on this target. Okay, rolling out, pulling the throttle back in slightly. Okay, now, getting set up. Okay, reticule just short. I'm just going to let it walk on up. And, I don't know, I wish I had more, I wish it would give me a little bit more for slant range, but I think that's a limitation in the radar itself, is that it only gives a reliable slant range at 2 kilometers. Okay. I don't know. Let me see. What could I possibly be missing here? Auto, S. And that timer means that it's about time to put a break in this video. And I think that sounds like a good idea. Let me go to the manual real quick and I'll come back in part 2 with additional rocket deployment and also strafe something with a gun. So, hey, thanks again for watching. I hope you are enjoying this series, and I will be back momentarily.